Hello everyone, I'm your host Wheel Trouble. Today's topic actually comes to us from the comments of a previous video. In that video, I'd mentioned that skills are rented. That seems to be an interesting concept, and I'd like to clarify why I adopted the philosophy that skills are a rental item. Before we do that, I have bills to pay for my other rentals. There's the like button, you can subscribe to my channel, but most importantly, you can support me on Patreon. The link is below. With recent changes to YouTube's terms of service, I can't emphasize the need to subscribe enough. As YouTube changes their business model, that is the only way to keep the content you love coming. And share this with your friends as well. Nobody really knows what YouTube and Google meant by commercially viable, but smaller channels like mine probably aren't it. Now that the obligatory shilling is out of the way, let's dive into the topic of skills and your own personal skill tree. Oops. Did I just lose street cred by owning up to the fact I've played RPGs? My bad. Like I've said before, this is my personal philosophy. As with all philosophies, you may have your own, and that's fine. We can have those debates in the comments below, or even collaborate on a video. I do want to drill into physical as well as mental concepts of skill retention. If you believe in a spiritual side, the concepts may apply there as well. I don't, so the concepts don't apply in my case. Perhaps the best way to broach this topic is to define our terms first. Ownership is the possession of a thing. That thing is yours. Nobody can take it away. When not used, you still have that thing, just as if you had placed it on a shelf or in a garage. Your coffee mug is a prime example of this concept. It is your mug. It will do the job of a mug until the end of time. The concept of renting is similar, but different enough that it needs a little more exploration. Renting grants you the benefits of ownership in exchange for a type of payment, but usually comes with the caveat that if you stop paying, you stop having the benefit of ownership over that thing. An apartment is like this. If you stop paying rent, you don't have an apartment. For sake of argument, we'll assume that the payment for skills are in the form of time and effort. We could debate this on a philosophical level until the end of time, so please accept this for the sake of argument. With the definitions of ownership and rental out of the way, we can begin to dissect how these apply physically and mentally. We have discussed how motorcycling is the rough equivalent of a light workout in previous videos. If you missed that, check out my health benefits in the Reality Check playlist. In sports, are skills use it or lose it, or do you always have them once you learn or obtain them? We have all heard the adage that something is like riding a bicycle, meaning that you never forget how. That is simply not true, and any coach will attest to that fact. There is a concept of detraining, a word that I learned while researching for this video. While you may retain the mental knowledge of how to do a thing, the muscle memory, as well as the muscles themselves, do deteriorate. To a novice, riding a bicycle may just be pedaling in basic balance. To myself, who used to race BMX when I had tracks nearby, there's pump technique and timing, manualing, gate snapping, pop versus speed jumping, etc. And I was just an intermediate. I can tell you right now that the coordination it takes to get around a track is sorely lacking from where it used to be. The nearest track is an hour away, which is way too far for me to get any real practice. Motorcycling isn't any different. Muscles also deteriorate from lack of use. If you've ever had a sprain or a broken bone, you are already very familiar with the concept of having to build back up to your original strength after an injury. The entire physical therapy industry is based on that one concept. The muscle power just isn't there after you've taken the time off. Right away, we can rule out strength and muscle memory as being owned. Since we obviously had the benefit at some point, we can assume that we lost it by not paying or investing in those benefits on a continual basis. Mentally, the jury is still out, but research in all the major psychological journals exists a plethora of articles on the subject. There's a lot of time and money being invested in dementia and Alzheimer's research that operates under the premise that cognitive ability is use it or lose it. Studies suggest that continued active participation in a skill and problem solving help to stave off the onset of dementia and Alzheimer's. This is, of course, compared with people who like to coast through life. Just Google up use it or lose it, and you'll easily find Psychology Today's 2014 article on the topic. Aside from geriatrics, we also have basic CRS. For sake of potential monetization and not running afoul of the ethereal commercial viability clause, I'm not explaining that acronym. I can still remember my first boss's phone number, but I can't remember my mother's current phone number. Why? Well, because I never type it in anymore. I'm certain you've all experienced the same phenomenon. If you're rusty at a game or a skill like a language, it takes a bit of practice to get back to the level you were at. Just like with the physical aspect, we didn't invest in the skill, so we lost possession of it. So we didn't own it after all, we just rented it. Now that I've said my piece, I'll restate that this is just my personal philosophy towards how people relate to acquired skills. They aren't quite like Dungeons & Dragons where you keep that skill for the life of your character. Well, there are aging rules that most people ignore, and there goes a little bit more of what little street cred I have left. A failure to thoughtfully practice causes time to steal those skills away like the bastard he is. Since this is just a philosophy and the science is still out, at least on the mental side of things, feel free to write me in the comments. As you do, just remember to hit the like button if you really feel that you must hit something. Share this bit of mental cancer with your friends and support me on Patreon. That's patreon.com/wheeltrouble. Every little bit helps. And again, please subscribe if you haven't already. YouTube's new terms of service make it clear that smaller channels are likely going to be a thing of the past. See you guys next time. Wheel Trouble out.